They called it a landmark conviction, a case that rewrote the rulebook. He was convicted, not for murder, not for assault, but for obsession, for a campaign of terror that turned a life into a living hell. His name? Daniel Holt. Her name? Anya Petrova. Anya, a bright light, a rising star in the city's art scene. Then the shadows fell. They started small. A note, a gift, unwanted, unsettling. Then the escalation. Her apartment, flowers, dead flowers, photos of her, everywhere, in places she'd never been. How? That was the question that haunted her every waking moment. Police? They shrugged. No physical harm? Nothing we can do. Their words, cold comfort, a chilling dismissal. Then the messages, text, email, voicemail, each one a twisted love letter, promise, a threat. You are mine, Anya. Her friends? They were scared. They saw the fear in her eyes, the fear that was growing, festering, a dark seed planted in her soul. Her art changed, darker, more frantic. The colors bled into each other, a reflection of her inner turmoil. The inconsistencies, they were glaring. The timeline didn't add up. Witnesses contradicted themselves. The evidence, it was manipulated, almost theatrical. Anya's phone records? Clean, too clean. No calls, no texts, nothing. Like he was a ghost, phantom. Her apartment? No forced entry. But things moved, objects rearranged. A silent invasion, a constant reminder. He was watching. The security footage, glitches, static, moments of black screen. Just long enough, just enough to make her doubt her own sanity. The police? They started to listen. Slowly, reluctantly, they saw the pattern, the escalation. They saw the fear. It was real. Daniel Holt, a man with a smile, a charming facade, a mask. Underneath, a darkness, a twisted obsession. He was everywhere, at her gallery openings, at her favorite cafe, in the shadows, always watching, always waiting. He knew her routine, her habits, her fears. He knew her better than she knew herself. The trial? A media circus. The public was captivated. The story was a dark fairy tale, a twisted romance. The prosecution? They painted a picture of a man consumed by obsession, a man who saw Anya as his possession. The defense? They argued insanity, a temporary lapse, a moment of madness. They tried to paint him as a victim. The jury? They were split, divided, conflicted, but the evidence was overwhelming. The verdict? Guilty. But the case wasn't over, not even close. The inconsistencies? They were still there. The questions? They remained unanswered. Then the twist. A new witness. A woman named Elena. She claimed to have known Daniel intimately. She claimed he wasn't alone. She spoke of a group, a cult, a twisted collective, obsessed with control, obsessed with Anya. They saw her as a muse, an inspiration, a vessel. They wanted to possess her, body and soul. They used Daniel as a pawn, as a puppet. He was their instrument, their weapon. Elena had escaped. She had seen their rituals, their dark ceremonies. She had heard their whispers, their promises. She had seen their leader, a figure shrouded in shadows, a voice that chilled her to the bone. His name? Unknown. His face? Unseen. His power? Absolute. The police? They dismissed her. A desperate attempt for attention. Fabrication. But Anya? She believed her. She saw the truth in Elena's eyes. The truth she had been running from. The truth that was darker than any nightmare. The trial was reopened. New evidence. New suspects. New fears. But the cult? They were gone. Vanished. Like smoke. Like shadows. They left behind a message. A final promise. A chilling declaration. She will be ours. Then silence. A deafening silence. A silence that was broken by a single phone call. Anya's phone. A blocked number. A distorted voice. A whisper. "We're coming for you, Anya. We're coming to finish what we started." Then the line went dead. The line went dead. Anya's heart hammered. The distorted voice. Promise of terror. They were coming. For her. To finish what they started. The police? They swarmed her apartment. Fortress. But the fear? It was inside her. Cold, creeping dread. Elena? She vanished. Gone. Like a ghost. No trace. No leads. Just a void. The cult? They were shadows. Phantoms. They moved unseen. Unheard. They were everywhere. And nowhere. The investigation spiraled. A maze of dead ends. A labyrinth of lies. Daniel Holt? He sat in his cell. Silent. Unmoving. A blank stare. A hollow shell. He wouldn't talk. He wouldn't confess. He wouldn't even deny. He was a puppet. A broken toy. But his silence spoke volumes. It screamed of a power beyond his control. The messages, they continued. Now they were on her art. Hidden symbols. Dark patterns. A code only she could decipher. They spoke of rituals. Of sacrifices. Of a dark communion. They spoke of her as the chosen one. Anya's art, it became a weapon. A canvas of fear. She used it to fight back. To expose them. She painted their symbols. Their rituals. Their faces. Distorted. Grotesque. Terrifying. She put them online. A digital scream. A desperate plea. The world watched. Captivated. Horrified. The cult? They responded. Not with violence. But with whispers. With shadows. With illusions. They infiltrated her life. They became her friends. Her colleagues. Her lovers. They wore masks. They played roles. They were everywhere. And nowhere. Anya's reality? It blurred. It fractured. It became a nightmare. She didn't know who to trust. Who was real? Who was a phantom? The police? They were useless. They saw shadows. They chased ghosts. They found nothing. No evidence. No leads. Just a growing sense of unease. Then the twist. A new victim. A young man named Leo. An art critic. He had written about Anya. He was found in his apartment. Ritualistically posed. His eyes were missing. Anya's art? It was found at the scene. Painting. A dark prophecy. A chilling warning. The police? They turned on her. Suspect. Accomplice. Bait. Anya? She was alone. Hunted. Framed. A scapegoat. She had to run. To disappear. To find the truth. She followed the symbols. The codes. The whispers. They led her to a place. An abandoned asylum. Place of shadows. Of madness. Of dark secrets. Inside, a labyrinth. A maze of rooms. Each one a twisted tableau. She found their rituals. Their ceremonies. Their altars. She found their leader. A figure shrouded in shadows. A voice that chilled her to the bone. He spoke of her. Of her destiny. Of her power. He spoke of the dark communion. He showed her the truth. A truth that shattered her reality. A truth that made her question everything. He showed her her past. Past she didn't remember. A past that was connected to them. She was one of them. A descendant. A vessel. A key. Her art? It wasn't just art. It was a conduit. A gateway. A weapon. The cult? They didn't want to possess her. They wanted to awaken her. To unleash her power. The leader? He wasn't just a man. He was a being. Ancient. Powerful. Dark. He had waited for her. For centuries. For this moment. He offered her a choice. To join them. To embrace her destiny. To become a god. Anya? She refused. She fought back. She used her art. Her power. The asylum? It became a battleground. A clash of wills. A war between light and darkness. The leader? He was wounded. Weakened. But not defeated. He vanished. Into the shadows. Into the walls. Into the darkness. He left behind a message. A final threat. A chilling promise. You can't escape your destiny, Anya. We will find you. And then a painting. Portrait of Anya. But her eyes? They were black. Empty. Void. And in the background, a city on fire. The painting, a city ablaze. Anya's eyes, black voids. A chilling prophecy, a terrifying promise. They would find her, no matter where she ran, no matter how far she hid. The asylum, a ruin, a twisted monument to their dark power. The police, still clueless, still chasing shadows. Anya, she was a fugitive, a ghost, hunted by both the law and the cult. She had to find answers, to understand her past, to stop them. The painting? It was a map, a cryptic guide to a place, a city, a name, Blackwood, a city whispered in hushed tones, a city of secrets, a city of shadows. She went there, alone, into the heart of darkness, into the belly of the beast. Blackwood was a labyrinth, a maze of narrow streets, ancient buildings, a city steeped in history, a history dark and bloody. The people, they were strange, distant, unwelcoming. They watched her, with cold, knowing eyes. The cult? They were there, in the shadows, in the whispers, in the very stones of the city. They knew she was coming. They were waiting. The city pulsed with a dark energy, a living entity, a breathing nightmare. Anya found their sanctuary, a hidden temple, a place of rituals, of sacrifices, of dark communion. Inside, a gallery, but not of art, of horrors, of twisted visions. Her visions, her art, they were on display, as prophecies, as warnings. She saw her past, in the paintings, in the sculptures, in the shadows. She was a descendant of a long line of dark artists, of powerful beings. Her blood, it was the key to unlock their power, to unleash their darkness. The leader, he was there, waiting, patient, confident. He revealed the truth, her truth, a truth that shattered her soul. She was not a victim, she was a weapon, conduit, a god. Her art, it wasn't just a conduit, it was a prison, a cage, for a being of immense power, a being trapped within her bloodline, a being that craved freedom, a being that craved destruction. The cult? They didn't want to awaken her. They wanted to awaken it. The being within her. The leader? He was its vessel, its prophet, its herald. He showed her the ritual, the dark communion, the sacrifice, the key, her blood, her art, her soul. She refused. She fought back. She used her power, her rage. The temple? It became a battleground, a clash of titans, a war between gods and monsters. The leader? He was wounded, weakened, but not defeated. He revealed his true form, a being of shadow and fire, a creature of nightmare. He spoke of the end, of the apocalypse, of the dark reign. He showed her the future, a future where her bloodline ruled, a future where darkness consumed all. Anya, she didn't break, she didn't yield, she didn't become a god. She became a weapon, a force of destruction, a destroyer of worlds. She used her art, her blood, her soul, to break the cage, to shatter the prison. The being within her, it was unleashed, a creature of pure chaos, a force of pure destruction. It consumed the temple, consumed the cult, consumed the leader, consumed Blackwood. Anya, she was left standing, amidst the ruins, amidst the ashes. The being, it was gone, but not defeated, not destroyed. It was free, it was loose, it was hungry. It left behind a message, a final echo, a chilling promise. The cage is broken, the world is mine. And then, a vision, a city, not Blackwood, but her city, her home, a city bathed in blood and fire. And in the center of the carnage, a figure that looked like her, but its eyes, they were glowing, red, and it smiled. Anya stood amidst the ruins of the temple, the air thick with the stench of sulfur and the lingering echo of the creature's roar. She was alone. The cult, vanished. The leader, gone. The creature, released. But she was not alone. The creature, it was within her, stirring, awakening. She felt it. Power. A darkness. A hunger. It was ancient. Primal. Unstoppable. Fear? No, not anymore. Only a strange exhilaration. A sense of power. Of control. She looked at her hands. They were trembling, but not with fear. With anticipation. The city. Her city. It was calling. A siren song. Promise of destruction. She walked. A ghost. A shadow. Unseen. Unheard. The city? It was a canvas. A stage. For her masterpiece. She started small. Whispers. Illusions. Accidents. A car crash. A fire. A sudden illness. Each incident seemingly random, yet connected. A symphony of chaos. The city? It began to unravel. Fear. Paranoia. Chaos. The police? They were baffled. Overwhelmed. They chased shadows. They chased ghosts. Anya? She watched. She orchestrated. She orchestrated the chaos. She fed the darkness. She fueled the fear. She unleashed the beast within. The city? It was changing. It was becoming something else. Something darker. Something more sinister. The people? They were changing too. Their eyes. Their smiles. Their souls. The darkness? It was spreading. Like a disease. Like a plague. Anya? She was the source. The catalyst. The epicenter. She was becoming something else. Something more. Something different. The city? It was becoming her. A reflection of her soul. A twisted mirror. And then she saw it. A vision. Prophecy. A future. A future where the darkness consumed all. Where the world was plunged into eternal night. A future where she reigned supreme. A queen of shadows. A goddess of destruction. She smiled. A chilling, predatory smile. The beast within her was stirring. It was hungry, and it was ready to feast. But as she watched the city descend into chaos, a new fear emerged. A fear that she couldn't control. A fear that the beast within her would consume her too. She was losing control. The darkness was taking over. She was becoming something else. Something monstrous. And then she saw it. A reflection in a shattered window. A figure standing in the shadows. Watching her. Observing. It was a woman. A woman with eyes like cold fire. A woman who knew her secrets. A woman who knew her past. The woman smiled. A chilling, knowing smile. "It's time," she said. "Time for the awakening." Anya's heart pounded. Who was this woman? What did she want? What did she know? The woman raised her hand, and a wave of dark energy surged towards Anya, threatening to consume her. Anya, her eyes blazing with a mixture of fear and defiance, raised her hand to meet the attack. The two forces collided. A clash of wills, a battle for dominance. The air crackled with energy. The city trembled, and the shadows deepened. The fate of the city and perhaps the world hung in the balance. As the two powerful beings clashed, the ground beneath them shook, and a chilling voice echoed through the city. "The end is near." The clash of dark energies tore through the city, a silent scream that shattered the fragile veneer of reality. Anya, locked in a battle of wills with the enigmatic woman, felt the beast within her writhe, eager to consume, to destroy. The city, already teetering on the edge of chaos, trembled under the weight of their power. The woman's eyes, cold and calculating, burned with an ancient knowledge. "You cannot resist," she hissed, her voice a chilling whisper that echoed through Anya's mind. "The darkness is your birthright. Embrace it." Anya, her own power surging, her mind a maelstrom of conflicting emotions, refused. "I am not your puppet," she snarled, the words laced with a raw, primal defiance. "I am not your weapon." The woman's smile widened, a predatory curve that sent shivers down Anya's spine. "You are both," she countered, her voice laced with amusement. "And neither. You are the vessel, the conduit, the key. And now the lock is broken." The city around them twisted, the buildings warping and swaying, the shadows deepening into monstrous shapes. The very fabric of reality seemed to fray, to unravel under the strain of their conflict. Anya saw visions, flashes of a past she didn't remember, a past of blood and shadows, a past where she was worshipped, feared, obeyed. She saw the woman, not as an enemy, but as a sister, a kindred spirit, a reflection of her own dark potential. The woman was right. Anya was a vessel, conduit, a key, but she was also a weapon, a force of destruction, a being of immense power. The beast within her, it wasn't a separate entity. It was her, part of her, a dark reflection of her soul. The cult? They weren't her enemies. They were her followers, her worshippers, her slaves. The leader? He wasn't a prophet. He was a sacrifice, a tool, a means to an end. And the end? It was here, now, in this moment. The woman's power surged, a wave of darkness that threatened to engulf Anya's consciousness. Anya, her own power reaching its zenith, met the attack head-on. The city became a battleground, a war zone, a canvas of destruction. Buildings crumbled, streets cracked, the sky itself seemed to bleed. Anya, her mind a whirlwind of memories and emotions, saw the truth, the dark communion, the ritual, the sacrifice. It wasn't about awakening a god. It was about controlling one. It was about controlling her. The woman, her face contorted in a mask of dark ecstasy, revealed her true form. Not a sister, not a kindred spirit, predator, puppeteer. She had manipulated Anya, played her like a fiddle, used her as a weapon. The city? It was her prize, her domain, her kingdom. Anya, her rage burning like a supernova, understood. She wasn't a vessel. She wasn't a puppet. She was a force of nature, a destroyer of worlds. She unleashed the beast within, not to destroy, but to reclaim, to rewrite, to redefine. The city became a furnace. The streets melted. The buildings turned to ash. The sky itself cracked and bled. The woman screamed, her form flickering and fading, her power waning. She was consumed, not by the beast, but by Anya. The city was cleansed, purged, reborn. In Anya's image, Anya stood amidst the ruins, the air thick with the stench of smoke and the lingering echo of destruction. She was alone, but not empty. The beast within her, it was gone, not destroyed, but integrated, subsumed. She was whole, complete, powerful. She looked at her hands. They were stained with ash and shadows, but they were steady, strong. The city, it was hers, a blank canvas, a testament to her power. She could rebuild, she could reshape, she could redefine. But as she looked at the ruins, at the remnants of her past, a new emotion emerged. Not power, not control, but regret. The city wasn't a canvas. It was a tomb, a monument to her loss. The people, they weren't her followers. They were her victims, her sacrifices. The darkness, it wasn't a birthright. It was a curse, a burden. She had become the very thing she fought against. A monster, a destroyer. And as she stood amidst the ashes, she understood. The twisted obsession, the stalking, the manipulation. It wasn't about control. It was about creation. They had created her. They had shaped her. They had turned her into a weapon. And now she was left to pick up the pieces, to rebuild, to atone. She looked at the sky. It was no longer bleeding. It was a canvas of stars, promise of dawn. She closed her eyes, and she wept, not for the city, not for the people, but for herself, for the artist she had lost, for the soul she had shattered, for the monster she had become. The city was silent, a tomb, a canvas, promise, and Anya, the artist, the weapon, the monster, stood amidst the ruins, ready to paint a new beginning, a beginning that would be hers and hers alone.